Welcome to I Feel Fat Today. I'm your host, Kelly Taylor. Thank you so much for joining. I am doing a real quick and dirty intro to the podcast this lovely Friday. I have a great guest this week, so we're going to get right into it. But first, head over to YouTube where we have full video episodes where you can check out the podcast every week. Please subscribe and like a comment. I'm also uploading clips of the podcast now. I finally got my stuff together to do that. So clips will be on social media and they'll be on YouTube. So you can check out little segments of the podcast, little fragments, and decide, hey, I think I actually want to give this show a listen. So that'll be available on YouTube where you can like and comment and, I don't know, maybe counteract the horrible comments that men leave because, oof, you people are mean. All right, moving on. So follow us on YouTube, subscribe, all that. Go to Apple Podcasts where you can find audio episodes. Please leave a 5-star review. It helps people find the podcast and it helps me. Follow us on social media at I Feel Fat Today, and me, your lovely host, Kelly Taylor, at Hello, This is Kelly. The clips are going to be on on Instagram and TikTok, so check it out there. The clips are fun. Comment, tell me if you like it. I'm hoping that posting the clips will get traffic over to the full episodes, but we'll see. I don't know. I'm just a hamster on a wheel, not losing any weight. Not that, I don't know. This is going bad fast. Okay. Yes, I didn't have the wherewithal to set up my camera and do like a full-fledged intro. So I'm just giving you an audio intro. And is there anything else I wanted to tell you? I don't think so. No, I need to work on my, speaking skills. I was watching parts of the intro of the podcast that I give, like when I'm reading an article and going through something like, where I'm talking about a diet fad or something like that. And I don't know, I don't think I'm a very good, I don't think I'm very good at reading out loud. So I'm going to work on it. Anyways, what a non sequitur. Okay, well, let's just get into it with our guest, Abby, this week. She is a stand-up comedian based in Miami, Florida, and she's really cool. Check her out on Instagram. We had a really great conversation. Without further ado, my guest this week is Abby Ballin. My bad. I totally remember what I wanted to say in this intro. You'll notice at some point in my recording that it gets a little choppy. I'll be talking about something and then it jumps to something else. And that's because my audio kept going in and going out. So I had to cut some, pieces of the podcast out. And then eventually I had to scrap the mic altogether. So you'll notice a difference in sound quality when I am speaking. And it's because my mic kept screwing up. So sorry about that. But yeah, the episode is still good, even though it sounds a little weird. It's still listenable. All right. Give it up for Abby Ballin. Hey, Abby, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Kelly. How are you?
I'm good. I just want to say at the top of us recording that it probably was a little bit random that I had reached out asking you to do my podcast because we're really just Instagram mutuals. We've never met in person, I don't think. You're based in Florida. I'm based in New York. And truthfully, the reason why I reached out was because we follow each other on Instagram and I was like, this chick is cool. Like, I just want someone cool not that my prior guests haven't been cool, but I'm like, oh, I don't know her, but she seems really cool. So that's why I asked you to come on.
I love that. And I'm wearing my dorkiest cool outfit for you.
Totally. I
I
love
like
it.
normally if anyone follows me or looks at me afterwards, I'll be like, oh, that's the cool person they were talking about. Because
We'll tag you in all the stuff.
yeah,
We'll
'cause
tag
this
you in all the
person
stuff.
looks pretty normal. But yeah, thank you. That's
Yeah,
a compliment and a half. I love it. Thank you.
totally. Awesome. Yeah. So you're based in Florida. Are you from that area? Where are you from?
So I'm from New York, actually. So that's
Oh, solid.
probably why we have some mutuals. Yeah, I've lived in South Florida now about 6 years, which is crazy. Never meant to get stuck here, but
Yeah.
it's here and it's working. And I should be embarrassed, but I
No,
don't
you
know.
shouldn't. That's
No.
amazing. Did you
Yeah.
start comedy in Florida or New York?
Of like I was taking it way more serious. Like I would say Miami is where I
Right.
started because I only did like drunk open mics, not serious
Totally.
sporadically in New York as like make my friends laugh kind of thing, not in a oh I'm gonna do comedy. Where I
Yeah.
think like once I was down here, I just ran with it in an unexpected way. So I really didn't mean to end up in this world, but it's welcomed me and I can't get rid of it. It's the drug that keeps drugging.
Amazing. Do you have like family in Florida or?
Yeah, so I ended up here pretty much like we've all kind of migrated from New York slowly but surely. My brother, eldest brother, did it in like 2002 after 9/11. He moved his
Right.
family here. Then my sister came in like 2015. Then I came in 2018. And then my parents just came in like 2 years ago. So I
Oh
only
my
have a
gosh.
brother. Yeah, I only have a brother and a couple nieces and nephews left in New York and aunts and uncles,
Yeah.
whatever. And we're trying to get the last brother down, but he won't. He's just like New York through and through. He's like, I can't do it. I can't. I got,
Oh,
yeah.
I am listen, I get it. Like it's so funny because normally it's the parents go down and then the kids follow, but the kids kind of like created the trend. It's the great migration. Like I'm from New Jersey, and so I know so many people in the New York, New Jersey area that have like decided to flee down to Florida. Like it's so my one of my best friends was vacationing down in Florida and ended up meeting her now fiance in like the Fort Lauderdale area. And it's like he's from Long Island. Like it's just I don't know. It's one and the same. I love people from or people that live in Florida, people from Florida. You guys are fun. I love doing comedy in Florida. It's great. I'll let you know next time I'm in the Miami area for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
I go off on such tangents, but I just okay, so we'll just jump right into it. So when was the concept of dieting first introduced to you?
I honestly, like, from as early as I can remember, my mom had, like, as an adult looking back, totally an eating disorder.
Mm,
Like, and a body dysmorphia. Like, if I look back before I was born, super, super anorexic. My mom was like very, like, and her friends will even say she survived on like celery and vodka. Like, that was her, like, diet. So, once she had kids, I don't know, like your mom, like your body changes and stuff. And she really was not happy about her body changing. Even though when I look at her, I'm like, I wish I looked like you. You look amazing. But we don't always see ourselves that way. So she always was weird about her body and pulling her loose skin and feeling fat. So, like, as a little kid, I used to think, oh, that's fat. Even though my dad was like, fat.
oh yeah, it's fine when dad's fat.
I'm like, he was fat and he was confident. He was loving, like he didn't give a shit about his belly. He was just like, yeah, like hair
Yeah,
sweaty and just like, this is me. And then my mom was
totally.
like gorgeous and she's like, I hate my body. It's like it was very confusing to see it happening. And obviously loved my mom and I didn't understand it. And I was a kid that wasn't fat, however, had gigantic cheeks, like
Mm,
just big cheeks forever, that
yeah.
everyone always pinched my cheeks. Like my nickname was Chunk. Like everyone was like always about the cheeks. And so I always kind of thought I was fat because of that. Even though like I look back and I'm like, you could see my ribs, like I obviously wasn't fat, but I think I look at it now, I'm like, I think I've always thought I was fat because of my mom always thinking she was fat.
Yeah.
And it's been taking like so many years to get to the point of just kind of being like, you probably think you're fat. You're most likely not. It just is what it is. Like, you're just gonna have to accept the fact that you're not gonna ever really think you're thin,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
hey, like, you're fine. Like, go with how you feel. Is kind of more in the territory I'm trying to live in, is go with how you feel versus what are you looking at? What are you seeing? Because I can't trust the person I'm looking at. Like, I feel like it's really scrambled.
I know. And it's so weird how, I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, this idea of body dysmorphia was something that I feel like when I was younger, like in my 20s, I heard about body dysmorphia, but it was like reserved specifically for like models that were battling like near life ending anorexia. Like it was only for people that were like completely emaciated and like looking like they're on the brink of death. It wasn't for people like you and I, where it's like that's classic body dysmorphia, where the chubbiness of your cheeks is dictating whether or not you think you're fat.
Mhm.
Totally.
Yeah.
Um, and that's another thing, like what you said about your mom, how, you look back and she had these obvious signs of dealing with anorexia. And I feel like we don't realize the lives the life that our moms had before us, because we only know our moms as our moms, and how so much of what we maybe what maybe informs our weird food issues, if that is present, is from mothers or women in our lives that had dealt with that, but like never talked about it in therapy or anything like that. And also the trade off that because I do consider it a trade off, like the trade off that your mom and my mom and so many other moms had to make of like, okay, well, I'm a mom now. So like I can't get by on celery and vodka anymore because like I have to raise a family. It's really trippy.
Mhm. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I feel like everything comes from your household and those young things. Like, it's everything. It's crazy when you think of the span of your life, because that's actually a very small portion of your life, but it's so impactful on everything.
Well, it's like, you don't want to curse in front of kids and you don't want to say anything in front of kids. It's like, oh, kids are sponges. It's like, well, our children's nervous systems are also sponges. And so that's when you learn to, go into fight or flight when like your DoorDash delivery guy is there a little bit earlier than you expected, because like our nervous system still sees that as like a threat because of something weird that happened when we were 5, that shocked us. I don't know. Yeah. So you grew up with your mom remarking about her weight. Was she the only woman in your life doing that? Or what about like
So
aunts?
obviously, yeah. So I have an older sister,
Right.
and she definitely went through stuff when she was a teenager, and she was my older sister, and that was all through a boyfriend that like forced that on her. She worked at Abercrombie and Hollister, which
Oh,
basically
forget it.
forced you to have an eating disorder.
Yeah.
So I looked at her and I was like, "Well, I guess I should have one." Like, I thought it's like, "You should do this." Like, I feel like it was like a almost cool to like not eat or puke after you ate. And I
Yeah.
remember trying it as a teenager because it was like, whether my sister was doing it or another friend was doing it, I was like, "This is what we do now. We're girls." And I really didn't like it. I like food way too much. I was like,
Totally.
this is not my jam. I'll deal with feeling bad about myself and eat my meal." Like, I never really went there, and I'm fortunate enough that I'd
Yeah.
rather be feeling a little fat than not eating, because I really love food. But yeah, so my sister was definitely I definitely had oh my god, so many friends that it was really sad to watch them. They would survive on like condiments. Like, we'd go out and they'd act like they were broke, which we're all broke, but you could still get dollar pizza. Like, you don't, like, we're all
Right.
eating ramen noodles and dollar pizza. Like, anyone in college can do that. and they would just eat like a little bit of fucking mustard and a pickle. I'm like, what is this? This is not
And
food.
now that's trending on TikTok.
Yeah,
Like,
girl dinner. Yeah.
yeah, like pickles and mustard is like what influencers will like. There's like a literally a girl on TikTok that has this like little tackle box, almost looks like kit of like carrots, mustard, like, it's weird. It's a weird. Yeah, I've noticed that so much how it's like, oh, the weird food things that some of us used to do, a lot of us used to do now are like a cool girl thing. And that really plays to what you said of like, well, I kind of felt like it was cool to kind of like not eat, skip lunch, cool to make myself vomit after I've eaten because that's like I'm now part of this like club of girls. And I don't know how old you are, but depending on what age you discovered the internet at or had access to the internet at, it kind of did feel like you were part of like a cool group of girls that had a secret, like even finding like MySpace groups of, girls that didn't eat or bulimic girls, whatever. It didn't, everyone always referenced Tumblr, but like it didn't necessarily start on Tumblr. Like MySpace had that too. And I'm sure there were even groups before that. Um, and the Abercrombie thing, like I remember my brother who was always way thinner than me, like so thin. Um, my mom would be like taking food off of my plate and putting food onto his plate because that's just like how different our bodies were. He got a job at Hollister and like literally I just remember him being like, no, they literally put like ugly people in the back and have skinny people working in the front, and just thinking like I can never work at Hollister. Like, so stupid.
So bad.
So dumb.
That whole thing was crazy. You had like because this is I'm probably older than you, so this was like when it first started. Whenever
Mm,
and you had to be a 00 or a 0 or you couldn't
mm.
work there. They wouldn't
Yeah,
let them, and they were like it was so tiny. It was super unhealthy. It was crazy. Yeah, so I definitely totally agree with the internet thing and where you came. Like I feel like I'm super fortunate that I just had like AIM when I was a teenager. That was
right.
like that was it. I feel like MySpace and like Facebook, that was like college when
Yeah,
that kind of came out. So, and we were too busy doing other shit that like I basically used Facebook as like group chat with my girlfriends. Like we
totally.
weren't really on it in another way. So I feel like, yeah, watching my nieces and nephews like have to grow up like as kids, seeing all their friends like that overstimulation, also just like lack of privacy and seeing what everyone's doing all the time. Like that's so unhealthy for kids. I'm so grateful I could no one knew what I was doing after school or on the weekend or whatever, except for the people who were with me. And that was it. Like the fact that
Yep.
everyone's in each other's business, knows who's going to whose birthday and all this stuff, like in the moment, not even like, remember how sad that was when if someone didn't get invited to a birthday, you
Yeah.
found out on Monday
Yep.
when some people talked about it. But imagine watching it like that when it's happening while you're just in your room, like how sad is that? So sad.
I I truly don't know how tweens do it. Like not never mind just tweens, like even younger. Like I don't know how young kids are able to survive in a world where everything is happening on social media because and so rapidly, just as you're saying, like finding out in real time that you were rejected. Like how do you talk about like dysregulating your nervous system? Like, how do you handle that? I don't understand people being able to have your location. Like, if my parents had my location when I was a kid, I couldn't, I wouldn't have survived. I did so many, even if the things I was doing was benign, if I wasn't where I said I was to my parents and they found out, I would be in so much trouble. And now it's like, and I get from a safety perspective, you have to know where your kid is located. But like, I don't know, like the concept of my boyfriend having my GPS location, I'll never do that. I'll never do that. I don't know. It's so weird.
See, yeah, I feel like the tracking stuff kinda I feel like I'm a little late to that party too, because I just, like, it never really I was too old when that started.
Right.
However, I do feel like with comedy and being out so late all the time, and a lot of times I'm driving far at night by myself, so I do let certain people track
Totally.
for safety because of that, and I'm like, but no one I don't even think anyone's even paying attention to me. I think it's more like if I go missing, at least somebody can see, but, like, it's not
Yeah.
like I'm like, "Hey, by the way," I'm not letting people know, but I have certain people just follow me. I don't even know if they remember that they're following me, but I make sure that someone knows where I am just because I am like, it's Florida, man.
Yeah.
There's some crazy people here, and being a woman out, by herself, like, I feel safer letting people know where I am. But yeah, with kids, having kid I don't know why people are having kids these days, like, in
It's so
general.
hard.
So many
Hard.
hard things to raise them, to afford them, to give them proper morals. Like, there's so many things that are just I don't know how you would do that. But it's also just that I guess you have to let go of the world we grew up in because that doesn't exist
Yes.
anymore. And you have
Totally.
to accept that this is their reality, and you are raising a new generation, a new set of people that you probably won't even relate to that much.
Okay, let me move my hair out of my way as to not mess up the AirPods. Okay. So what you were saying about, we just kind of have to like let go of this world that we knew because this is like a new technological generation. I think about that when it comes to comedy because I will go up on stage and talk about my body, talk about dieting, and I often find myself being like the butt of my own jokes because I don't ever want to tell a joke about fatness and have someone that is in a larger body in the room feel bad about themselves. So I feel like I make myself the butt of the joke so that, like, I'm just talking about me here, whatever the case may be. And women in their 40s love it. Gen Z, they are not down with it. Like younger kids are like, we don't talk about ourselves like that. So yeah, it's weird. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know really what your material's like, but I know when I'm performing to Gen Z crowd, it's like I have a harder time relating to them.
Yeah, I try to adjust. Like, you can get away with a lot in Florida, but still there's certain pockets where it's like, okay, you're going to be because even the young generation aren't as quote unquote woke or whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it, but some are, and it depends on where you go. And I just have different material kind of for different audiences. And sometimes when I catch myself where I'm like, oh, I'm doing a material that probably isn't relatable to them, I then kind of make fun of the fact that that was my way of thinking. And
Yeah.
is that so crazy? That this is how I was raised to believe this, and then they're like, "Oh shit," like, "I
Yeah.
can't believe you guys did that," and I'm like, "I know, what a fucking whack jobs we were,"
That's
like,
crazy. Yeah.
so I just call it out, like, sometimes that's what it is, you catch yourself and you're like, "Oh, I'm talking to someone who can't relate, now let's make fun of the fact that we can't relate on this because you were raised probably in a little more healthy households," you
Yeah.
know?
You were raised to not hate your body. Imagine that.
Yeah, but there still
Um,
are young people in every generation that are still gonna have some
oh
stuff
yeah.
that's passed on, so I never worry too much, like, it's gone, it's like there's always gonna be this, it's always gonna be here, you know?
Yeah. No, it's definitely ever present. The concept of not liking yourself or wanting a different body or having disordered eating. Going back quickly to your sister, how much older is she than you? Or are you older?
She's older, she's, like, 2 years like, barely 2 years older than me.
Okay, so definitely like a big influence. So yeah, if seeing your sister having issues with eating disorders, like having that trickle down to you. And it's just funny how with you, like it didn't really stick. You're like, I like eating too much, which in and of itself can be disordered eating. Like, because
Oh, yeah.
I dealt with that. I was a binger when I was a kid. Like, it was my way to connect with my family. It was my way to self soothe. It was my way to celebrate. Like, I kind of in your boat was like, I don't think I have the ability to be anorexic.
Mhm. No, I 100% would say I lean towards binging, and I probably still even do because
Yeah.
I emotionally eat. And when I'm sad, it either means I'm eating a lot or sometimes I'm just not eating and I'm just not hungry and I'm like have to force myself to eat a little bit and I'm better at it because like you just get older and you just realize these are patterns, pay attention and act accordingly. But yeah, when I was younger, food was definitely totally love. Like that's my love. That was like I feel so much better and then I feel so much worse because I'd
Yeah.
stuffed myself so to the point where it really hurt and would almost make me sick because I ate so much. And yeah, yeah, there was a lot of that. But
Was food sorry, go ahead.
no, but I feel like I was fortunate enough that, like, I was still feel like I was very active. So even though, like, it wasn't healthy, it never, like, translated to the point where I was, like, too, like, unhealthy with my body or my body wasn't handling. Like, I feel like my body just got rid of it, luckily, but it definitely, didn't help with my image of myself at all because and probably wasn't the healthiest thing for my body, but I don't know. I always prefer that, the overeating than the under. In my mind, I'm like, well, it's excess. It's a little excess. You get a little
Yeah.
excess nutrients. Like, was that so bad? I don't know.
So, did you play sports when you were, like, in high school?
So yeah, I did kind of like everything. I was just one of those people. I'm like, I'll try it. I'll try it. I have a friend doing this. I'll try it. So I danced. I even played football for a year.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I played football for a year. I played softball a lot. That was kind of the thing I was most consistent with. But I also just like I was just always busy and doing stuff. I love to like just be moving and shaking and making stuff. And I was never really like a sit still person until
Yeah.
I had this one friend who like got me into like, this is what binge watching movies and TVs is. And I was like, what is this world? And I, learned what that world was, which I never really had. I never was somebody who would just sit there and watch movies on movie. I was always like, let me play, let me imagine, let me go outside, let me climb a tree, let me, like I was I like to be active. But yeah. Uh
Yeah.
but the funny thing I wanted to tell you about with all this dieting stuff was when I'd be home sick from school, which sometimes obviously I was sick, and sometimes when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, were you really sick if you were able to do this?
Right.
My mom would have me do the Sweatin to the Oldies with Richard Simmons.
I've done those.
And in my head, I loved them. I thought they were fucking hilarious, and I was all about it. I was like, "Let's go fucking sweat to the oldie
Yeah.
Richard," And I like my childhood was totally Richard Simmons. Like I would do that with my mom all the time, and I can still even remember some of the dance routines. And so to me, that's just hilarious. Like being a little kid and doing those videos, which were actually very fun.
They
Um,
were so fun. My grandma had
very fun.
Richard Simmons Sweatin' to the Oldies. Like, she had a few different Richard Simmons, and I remember Sweatin' to the Oldies so vividly, truly.
So
Uh,
much, yeah. I could literally pull up the chair and, like, do the the song, like, it's just like, "Who" and it's like, "With Windy," and you, like, jump up in the chair, and it's like, "Dun, dun, dun, dun," like, I don't know. It was so funny. It was such a good time. But that's the kinda thing where I'm like, "I was 5. Did I need to be doing a workout tape?"
Absolutely not. You were
Uh,
on the Zumba train before Zumba was ever popular. Like,
yeah.
you were at 5 years old being a tastemaker, which is so fucked up to think about. Like, because I have those same memories of, like, doing something like going to doing Richard Simmons Sweatin' to the Oldies. And like as a child, did I need to be doing that? No. Is it kind of fucked up when you look at it? Yes. But I can't help first off, it's not the worst trauma to have, like when you look at the scale of trauma. My therapist would say otherwise, but It's really not the worst, and I have a lot of fond memories tied to that, and I'm sure so many people probably have dealt with eating disorders and disordered eating and are like, "I really resent the fact that my mom or grandma had me doing Sweatin to the Oldies," but to us, it was fun, which is just I don't know. Also, like we said before at the top of the podcast, like, the women in our lives that were also dealing with their disordered eating, like, they didn't realize that they were potentially passing down something to us, you know? That's very funny though. Gosh, I haven't heard "Sweatin' to the Oldies" in so long.
So it's like there is a thin person inside each and every one of you, and like forever. Like if that just wasn't in it, if it was just dance video, like I would,
Right,
yeah, like it's basically like have a dance party with your kid. That nothing
totally.
wrong with it. It's the fact that it was about dieting and losing weight is where it was kind of like, okay, what were you teaching me here? But
Yeah.
if it was just a dance video that we put on, we learned a dance routine together, like, that's good parenting, that's adorable, like, you should
Yeah.
totally do that with your kids. It's just, like, have the conversation about, like, this is just for healthy hearts and healthy minds, and, like, not so much about what does this mean for your physical look and your body, but it's good to dance, it's good to sweat, it's good to move, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's that or, you know, ADHD medication, not saying that,
Yeah,
not saying that
I
that's
probably
not
needed
parenting,
it.
but, like, instead you sweat to the oldies.
Yeah, yeah, probably needed Ritalin, but instead I was squatting with the best, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's something else I just wanna touch on because you mentioned it. So when I have conversations with people on this podcast, they mention, "Oh, I did a lot of sports in high school, and then, like, I went to college, and the sports stopped, and that change of lifestyle, like, impacted their weight and, like, how they
Mm.
felt about themselves." So, like, do you, like, remember if there was a time when you kinda, like, stopped doing sports and kinda had more of, like, a chill, more sedentary, let's watch movies kinda life, or was that not really that impactful?
So I continued dancing through college and stuff, so I was always kind of moving and always kind of active. I feel like it wasn't until, like, I had, like, super big loss and depression in my 20s that, like, that's when I, like, learned the couch potato life.
Mm,
Um And like, yeah, so there was a few years of just sedimentary and just not really doing much, but that was all just real sad depression. And fortunately enough, I moved through a lot of that stuff. And now, yeah, I don't really do sports, although I would love to. I don't have the time to, but I do try to like do yoga and, other little fitness things because I realize how important for my mental health. I kind of need to do something, even if it's not about losing weight. It's just like I think because I was always so active too, and I do love food so much, I kinda have to balance it a little bit.
yeah,
Um, I know, like, Florida also, like, doesn't help with it because it is such a fitness culture here because it's beach life, so you don't have the luxury like in New York of the winter bod because
yeah.
it's never really winter.
No, and it's also uncomfortable, like, I love going to Florida, but I feel like mentally I have to kind of prep for, like, your thighs are gonna chafe, like, you have
Mhm.
to like, it's hot, like, and especially in the summer, it gets hot, and so, everyone can exist in the body that they want to exist in, but for myself personally, like, it can be really uncomfortable if I am in a bigger state when I go down to a place like Florida. It's too much.
Yeah. No, it's true. I think I always lean towards heat than cold. And that's
Mm,
also because as much as I grew up in New York, my father was kind of based in Puerto Rico. So I spent kind of most of my life going back and forth. And I just don't like winter. I've never liked winter. So I'd rather be chafing and sweating than freezing. And I'll get there's glide sticks for the chafing girl. Like
yeah, totally, I
that's
know
sick.
all about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, like, you just learn and you adapt. It's like you put layers on in the winter, figure out this is how I stay cooler in the summer, But with global warming or whatever the fuck's happening, it's kind of cold in Florida right now. Like
Yeah.
it's getting like we're having kind of seasons now.
Yeah, Florida is having seasons now, which is
Mm.
weird. But in the summer it still gets like sweltering.
It does get very hot in the summer, but we also have these rains that kind of do break it up. I don't know.
Yeah.
The summer doesn't really bother me too much. I don't mind it. I don't know, but maybe that's just because I like the heat and I don't mind
Yeah.
sweating. I'm like, "Ooh, I don't have to work out," and I'm just might be dying right now.
Sweating.
Back
No,
to toxic behavior. I'm like, "Ooh, I could just stay outside and I'm losing weight," but that's probably not happening. I'm just getting dehydrated, but in my mind, I'm like, "Sweating is working."
totally. Sweating to the oldies, man.
Yeah, back
Um, yeah, I'm opposite. I'm with like it's cold in New York and I'm fine with it. It's like, okay, this is like I hate sweating. I even though I do it all the time, like I much prefer the cold. So that makes sense. And if you're like, growing up going to Puerto Rico, it's just gonna be different.
yeah.
But having, to that note, like, do you ever find yourself like comparing yourself to like the Miami girl aesthetic?
I mean, I've tried to grow a butt since being down here. Like, yeah, it's a thing. I'm a white woman in America and I didn't have an ass and I didn't know that was
Totally.
a problem until I moved to Florida and then all of a sudden I was like this I might have to work on this, So add this to the list. Um and yeah, so I've improved. There's a little bump there, but it's hard. It's not easy to grow a butt, and everything else also kind of grows with it, which I didn't like. I liked my little chicken legs before. I'm like, oh no,
Yeah.
the thighs got big too. So I've worked on that a little bit. I also feel like I don't care that much. I'm very much in the mindset of like very work focused right now and just about being happy and healthy. There's so much going on in the world and everything
Yeah.
that I'm all about the gentleness, the practicality, and like, yes, if you can improve these little things, let's go. But I feel like the beauty, like the outside stuff that I used to care about so much as we all did has just gotten less and less as I get older. And more about the more I can do, work on my internal, like my soul, my spirit, my relationships, my career, that's so much more valuable to me. So I really don't compare. So I'm a comedian, but I'm also a photographer. So
Oh,
and I've been a photographer way longer than I've done comedy. So I shoot a lot of these gorgeous, beautiful women or whatever. So I almost look at them like, wow, what a specimen. Like I'm just like, this is so gorgeous. And I think also from being a visual person, I admire that. And I don't compare it so much because I'm more just like focused on like, that would be such a beautiful picture. Let me put you here. Let me put you there. And I kind of am removed myself and I'm more focused on the task. And I find this even when I'm in conversation, like even looking at you, I'm like, okay, so her light should actually be a little higher. So there's not the glare on her glasses. Like
yeah.
I look at everything as I talk to somebody. So I don't really put myself in that scenario to compare because I'm more focused on like what's actually here that I can change in front of me. And I'm not really considering myself in it as much. Um, but I totally used to. I feel like we all did when we're forming ourselves and figuring out who we are. We all look to I look to my sister all the time. She had the butt. I had the boobs, she had the butt. Like, sometimes sisters are
Yeah.
just whatever. And she
Yeah.
had the big full lips and like we're very opposite looking. Like she had the long face and the straight hair. I mean, my hair is this is not this is me, but
This
not I'm gray
yeah.
and I have curls. Like this is
This is manufactured.
this is as I'm like, I don't care about the visual as I'm like put a whole bottle of bleach in my hair. But my sister, like very different looking, and she was so gorgeous, like and still is so beautiful. And I always looked to her, but we just were so different. I was never gonna be that. I was
Yeah.
never gonna be that, and I knew that. And I think because of that, because I did not think I was gonna ever be as beautiful as her or my mom, I really tried my best to be like, how could I be the most fun? How could I be the hardest worker or the most creative? Like, I feel like I tried to put my efforts into things that I could do better that no one can compete with. And I stopped like I took care of myself. I cared, but I just didn't put the importance too much in beauty. And I think that's also why I went into photography, is like, oh, I can focus on other people's beauty and making
Yeah.
me feel beautiful. And then that makes me feel good because I got to do that for them. And yeah, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I'm fortunate enough, at least I find it fortunate enough that I cared a little bit more about inside stuff and got off that train, because I think I was aware enough that it wasn't the healthiest thing to be comparing myself to people I just was never going to look like.
Right. So do you think you got to that place because you went through like any kind of therapy, or did that just come with getting older and being like, I can't do this?
I think it came from trying and terrible
Failing.
mistakes. Like, it came from like I remember my friend and I, we like got this like eyebrow thing to like do, and we ended up with like no eyebrows. Like we fucked our faces up so bad. Like we just did things that were terrible. Like so I do my own hair now, but I've been doing it for years. But I experimented with started at 14, cutting my own hair and dyeing my own hair. I looked like a little Asian man. Like I was like, it was so bad. I just did so many things that I think I just gave up out of like defeat, and like I was lazy. I was just tired of it. I was like, this is so much. Um, and also beauty stuff is expensive, and I just want to
So expensive.
buy other things. I need a new camera. I need new lenses. Like I have other stuff I want to buy. And also I don't know. I've seen like people fuck up with plastic surgery, and that's scary. And I also don't like foreign things inside my body. Like, and I know whenever I say that, they're like, you must be a lesbian. But I mean, like, it's like not what I'm talking about. It's just like, I don't know what it is, but like inside organs and inside the body stuff like creeps me out. Like just the fact that we have blood in us. I'm like, well, like it's crazy.
Yeah.
So like the fact of like I'm gonna put foreign things in here, I'm like, I'm not okay with what's already in here. I'm gonna
Yeah,
have
totally.
more stuff. Like this whole thing, how it's working, I just don't want to think about. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy.
I mean, and there is like, I feel like maybe it's because accessibility has been greater, but people are very flippant about getting procedures done, like cosmetic procedures. And it's like, there there's an inherent risk with that. Like getting put under anesthesia, like you're you could die. Like people are dying getting BBLs, which is crazy. But you were talking about how you were trying to get a butt and then all of a sudden like your thighs got bigger, and it's like, yeah, that's how it's supposed to go. Like that region of your body is gonna gain more weight. But with like plastic surgery and the way that Instagram models look, they have these big butts with these skinny legs. It's like, oh, because of surgical intervention. Like if only that was attainable without that.
Yeah, no,
Again,
I have
crazy.
no interest in putting my money in any of that. And I talk to some, like everyone does it down here. I'm a dinosaur unicorn that I have nothing done to me. So, and that's not true. I'm sure there's other people, but majority of people have something, at least a lip injection or something.
Hmm.
It's like, and everyone's just like, well, it's preventative. And then it makes me feel like, fuck, am I supposed to be doing something for being preventative? And I'm like, I feel like I got good genes. I'm just gonna roll the dice. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm just like, I just don't know about it. And maybe one day I'll be annoyed that I didn't do it. But I'm also
No,
just like one of those people. I'm like, let's wait and see. All this shit's so new, and I like the idea. So one of my, it's also sad because some of my friends, that's their industry, and of course they're like wanting the guinea pig, or not even the guinea pig, but the model, the help with
yeah,
out. They do it, they love it, they're good at it. So they're like, I want to do this for you. You help me, I want to help you. And I'm like, I I'll do it if it's natural. So like I had some friend do like a lymphatic drain massage. It was
oh, I want to get
amazing.
one done. Please tell
amazing.
me what that was like.
Just do it. Go
Okay.
read reviews, and because I'm sure some people are full of shit, but if they know what they're doing, it's like immediate, like the bloating. And obviously, if you continue to do it, it's supposed to help with your digestion and all your
Yeah.
blood flow. Like, I don't have the money to continually do it like that, although I am working pretty hard, so maybe I could treat myself. But she gifted me like a whatever, a session and whatever. So I did it, and it was like I could show you the pictures. Like it's like within the hour of her doing it, my bloating, like you could see shapes in my stomach instead of just a solid mass. Like I had
Yeah.
some contour and things going on there. And also just like she even said, she's like, "Your ankles are swollen." And I was like, looked at it and I was like, "Yeah, they do look thinner now." It's like you don't even realize where you're swelling in places and stuff. So I believe in that kind of stuff because, yeah, why not assist our body in the things it's already supposed to do and help it out? Like, why
Yeah.
not? Why not do
Ugh,
that? So,
anything
but
for thin ankles.
I know. So, but she had said that some other thing that they did, which I never tried, was I guess they can inject blood straight into your under eye, your own blood. And that's supposed to help with puffiness and like basically even the discoloration that can happen, like the purple, whatever, because it's
Yep.
basically once you send blood, it's like telling the cells to kind of heal and regenerate or whatever. And I'm like, that's cool because you're just putting me in me. Like I feel like that kind of stuff when they do that, I'm like, that's science I'm down with. It's like the foreign stuff where I'm like, it feels like you were just putting plastic in my body or like chemicals. And I'm like, I don't even eat that stuff. Why would I have it live in me? Like that doesn't seem logical. So
Mm,
but I think the beauty industry and everything in the world is trying to increasingly be more conscious and be a little bit more organic and healthy and all that. So I believe probably the beauty industry will eventually get more and more natural. So I'll wait.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
fully on the same page as you. Like, I am all for anything natural. That's why I jumped up at the lymphatic drainage. Like, I love, any kind of natural healing. I've heard of like that, like blood melasma, whatever, like under your eye. Like, I'm all for that. Now you read certain news articles will say SPF is bad for you, but I'm just like, can I avoid doing Botox and just keep putting sunblock on my face so that I don't, have to worry about wrinkles? Like I see little wrinkles popping up every now and again, and I have so many friends that are like, "Oh yeah, I do preventative Botox," and I'm just like, I'm kind of glad I don't have the money for it because I would be in there and my face would not be moving.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. I have to think about like if you had the money, would you change your mind? I still don't think I would.
That's great.
I think I would still be buying other stuff that I want more than that. I think what I would get is a personal trainer.
Yes,
I
same.
would have a personal trainer because I know I actually don't mind working out. I just don't make the time to do it as hardcore as I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm getting to the point where I'm like, accept yourself. You're good. You're fine. You're doing good. Like I don't want to judge myself that hard. Like you're doing good. But
Yeah,
I also do like because I've done so many different sports and different things. Like I actually really like it. And there's like a psycho competitive person inside of me that like really wants to, do active stuff and compete and push myself, compete against myself and be like, oh, you're doing more. You're doing more. But I do think when you're paying somebody like a trainer, you have a designated time to do that, you're going to do it because you're like, shit, I paid for this and someone's holding me accountable. So right now, I just hold myself accountable and I'm doing okay. But
good,
I had all the money in the world, that person would be here and they would be like, I'm making you the smoothie, we're, keeping you so you're not wanting to binge because I really think if you're active, like your mental health, like I don't even know if I would be binging if I was regularly active because it just helps you stabilize for when life hits you with all those different road bumps. Like you're able to process it and ground and be calmer because you already are in your body. And the
Yeah.
more we're not being in our body and we're just focusing on future, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do that, or past, oh my God, I can't believe this happened, or whatever, and we're not actually here. Or if we are here, we're too focused on the job, the kids, the dog, the this, the that we're not actually taking time to be like, hey, settle
How you
in,
doing? Yeah.
breathe, stretch, dance, sing, whatever. But like figure out how to be here,
Be present.
versus all these other places. And I think it helps because if you're not present and then you get hit by a truck, you're hit by a truck, but you're also so disoriented because you weren't even focused in the first place. So I think having that sense of grounding just gives you the time to process, I think.
Right. Yeah. So would you say, or do you think that you use like food as a way to escape or elevate your emotions at all?
So I feel like I'm doing much better and I'm trying to not hold myself to like old habits because I totally would be like, yes. But like literally not to drop like a really sad bomb, but I just had a friend die like 2 days ago.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
And yeah, it's the worst. It's still so fresh. I can't totally believe that it's real. But I'm just like even note like in my mind, I'm like, oh, you're gonna totally like eat your feelings right now. And I definitely am not eating as much, and because I'm not hungry, but I'm also like still making myself eat and making myself eat good things that are good for me, that are like real protein, real vegetables, real, just like, and even if I'm not hungry, just eating what's there. And I haven't gone down the road of like, let me get a pint of ice cream or a big bag of chips and just eat the feelings. And I think that's just because I've been down this road so much. I'm like, okay, I know that's actually not going to make me feel better. And this is already hard enough. And I have enough on my plate right now that let me actually take care of myself. And I feel like that's like more what I'm trying to do is like how to parent and love and care for myself. And the better I get at that, the prouder I am. And you just see the rewards from it. And I'm like, I feel like everything that gets thrown at me, I feel like I've learned from the last thing, and I keep, like,
Yeah.
leveling up and leveling up, and that feels so good to know I can have my back like that and support myself like that, that as much as the old patterns are there and I know I could do that, that is totally an option. I'm really happy that I'm choosing not to do that because I know that in the end, that's not really gonna be my friend, and, um, so, yeah, I think I'm growing up.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
certainly sounds like it, just even in the way that you describe, like, oh, how I would used to describe this versus where you are now.
Mhm,
And as you're talking about sort of surviving through a huge loss, like what
mhm,
you're describing, I feel like I wish that this is where diet culture went. Like, I wish that we had Weight Watchers for helping us get through a
mhm,
traumatic event like that, like what you're describing, because I think about how I've processed something like someone passing away and how it's like instead of like going for a bottle of alcohol, I'm going for well, sometimes also a bottle of alcohol, but like I'm going for like these comfort foods, these like feel goods, these things that are not good for me.
mhm.
These things are going to make me feel bad down the line. And how what you what you really need right now is what you're doing for yourself, like focusing on making sure that you're being nourished and listening to your body. And it's such a harder road with such that pays off so much more down the line, but it's so hard when you're not present to even imagine what down the line even is. Like the concept of there being a week from now, a month from now, so hard when you're in a state of pain, truly. And feeling, I don't know why I can't think of the word, but
Well, I feel like you get in
emotional
survival mode when you
survival
don't,
mode.
yeah, when you don't ground and get present, which is why I'm saying like all these activities, getting in your body, all this stuff helps you handle. Because I don't know, maybe some of us are unscathed, but most of us get hit and we get hit with stuff
Yeah,
that like does want to drive you to drink or binge eat or not eat or drug or whatever, hurt ourselves in some way. And the reality is that's the last thing we need. We're already hurting and we need to care for ourselves. And it's kind of a bummer. It's a big bummer that I feel like I've had to have so many harsh lessons to get to this point to know what to do now. I'm like, "Oh, I'm here again. This is what we do." But at the
yeah,
same time, I'm kind of like, I'm glad I learned it, even if it was really hard to get here. It's a really valuable thing that I'm learning. And maybe some people learned it way earlier and how amazing. And I hope people raise their kids to learn how to self soothe, how to self care, how to protect, how to check in with your body and your sign to know, oh, I need water. Oh, I need sleep. Oh, I actually probably need to go for a walk and get some air. Like these little things that are signaling us that help regulate us, that will make us be able to perform better in our life and our jobs and our relationships. So,
yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna wrap up here, but I want to ask if there is something that you could tell your younger self, uh, the little kid that was sweating to the oldies. What would you tell her?
make yourself happy.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Make yourself happy. Do you feel like you looked for happiness outside of yourself a lot when you were a kid?
I just try to make everybody else happy.
Mm. Oh yeah, totally. Totally. Trying to make everybody feel good, make sure everybody else is good before yourself. That is a good one. I've heard a lot of people give what they would tell their younger self, and um that's a very one good one that I think will hit home with a lot of people.
Mhm.
Um, is there anything else you wanted to tell the listeners before we sign off here? I've loved our conversation. I think it was really great. Thank you so much for coming on. Anything you want to leave us with?
Oh my God, thanks for having me. I want the whole world to judge themselves less. Can we do that, audience? Can we not be so hard on ourselves and gives ourselves a break? And I think a huge part of that is about the comparison. And I think the only person you need to compare yourself to is you 1 minute ago, 1 hour ago, and yesterday, and so forth. Like you are the only person who can keep yourself in check. And as long as you keep paying attention to yourself, you're gonna tell yourself what you need and what you want. So keep believing in yourself and keep loving yourself and caring for yourself, and you will get wherever you're supposed to be, even if it may not be where you want to be.
Oh my gosh, Abby, I loved that. Thank you so much. Where can people find you?
I'm hijacked, hibernate. I live on an Instagram. I can't get the fuck off of it. Like I'm lost in a scroll my whole life. Like everything I do
Totally.
is on Instagram. So that's the easiest I will answer. I'm on there way more than I would love to admit. But that's A as in Abby. And then Ballin is my last name. So Ballin comedy. I'm on TikTok as Abby Ballin. So ABBY Ballin. I hate TikTok, but I'm trying. I'm trying to get with the cool kids, even though the cool
I
kids
know.
want me, they don't want me. I'm trying, I'm doing it. I'm Abby Ballin on Facebook. If you're old, hey, what's up? I'm still
With
there.
all the other people
I'm
doing Richard Simmons VHS dance
ah,
videos.
let's bring them back. Let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's do
let's
it. But
bring
yeah, that's the places to find me, I would say. There's more.
amazing.
You'll figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah,
If you
totally. Abby, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. It's been so insightful. And listeners, we'll talk to you next week. Bye.